my name is Rory McKenna. I'm a Peatlands officer with Ulster Wildlife. We're out today on Black Bog in the South Sperrins constructing peat dams. We're going to run through the steps involved in the construction of a standard peat dam so that contractors, landowners and peatland officers can refer to this video for their own projects. One of the key principles of peatland restoration is restoring a more natural hydrology to a site. Drains and ditches lower the water table and dry out the peat. We can use peat dams to raise the water table close to the surface again, which will allow key bog plants such as cotton grass and sphagnum mosses to survive. In order to construct a peat dam, the excavator should first align itself parallel with the drainage channel, not too close to the drain that there is any risk of the machine slipping, but close enough that the machine can comfortably reach the far side of the drain. The excavator should remove the top layer of scraw or vegetation from either side of the drain out to approximately 12 inches to lay out the footprint of what we call the quay. Before excavating the quay, the machine operator should lay out the borrow pit. The operator will rotate either 90 degrees or 180 degrees, depending on how much room you have. They should then remove the surface scraw or vegetation roughly 2 to 3 buckets wide and 8 to 10 feet long and set this material to the side, trying to keep the root system intact. This will then be used to cover the borrow pit again at the end. The operator begins to excavate the quay across the drain, placing each bucket of material beside the borrow pit area. Excavate the quay until you reach approximately 6 inches below the base of the drain or until you can see more saturated peat. The operator should excavate the first few feet of material from the borrow pit and place it on top of the material removed from the quay. This top layer of material may have cracks and fissures that could compromise the dam over time, so it is deeper, more saturated peat which must be used to construct the actual dam. The peat dam should be built up with each bucket full of peat from the borrow pit until it reaches a height of 12 to 18 inches above the ground. The side of the dam should be graded down at an angle, giving a humpback bridge profile, giving the dam greater stability. Don't be worried about your dams initially being quite high because they will settle over time. Once the dam has reached the right height and has been cambered either side, then take the vegetated material taken from the quay and the borrow pit at the start and use it to cover the top of the peat dam, patting the turves down to ensure the roots bed into the dam. Try to avoid cracks or breaking in the turves on top of the dam, as these can allow water to break the dam over time. Use the side of the bucket to firm up the front and back of the dam, and that's the dam finished. Now that the dam is complete, rotate round to the borrow pit and push a pile of excavated material into the pit using the side of the bucket. Grade the material out as much as possible and then push down the edges of the pit until it resembles more of a shallow dish. Once the borrow pit has been refilled and the edges graded out, take the vegetated material that was removed at the start and use it to dress the area of bare peat, covering as much as possible. This may require pulling the turves gently apart with the teeth of the bucket. If there is insufficient material to cover all of the bare peat, then take a small amount of randomly scattered shallow turves from nearby to cover the empty spaces. These small donor areas will recover quickly. Once the peat dams have been installed, the drains will soon begin to build up with water, which will bring about ideal conditions for sphagnum mosses to colonise and thrive.